talk about consolidating.
All right, welcome everyone. I call the Commissioners meeting of August 2nd, 2023 to order. Welcome back our veteran Patrick Rambo to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and I think maybe our standing invocation gentleman, John Kleinitz, County Engineer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you would join me in a moment of prayer. Lord, we pray that as our county leaders meet today, they do so with your hand on their shoulders. Come and take part in this meeting. We're here today to discuss topics that will help people and move your county forward. Grant our leaders the wisdom to make this meeting productive, effective, and powerful. Guide the decisions made today to help as many as possible. Your work is through us. Thank you for the goodness and mercy that we receive every day. We start with you and we end with you. To you be the glory and honor. Amen.
Amen. Okay, we'll move on to item number 2 on the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the July 19th, 2023 Board of Commissioners meeting as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I will open up for any public comment relating to items on the agenda today. Okay. I'll move on to the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda items below for the Office of Children, Youth, and Families and the York County Planning Commission.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, and welcome, Claire.
Good morning, everyone. So just a little bit of information as far, from a human service perspective. We have our normal subsidy agreements for adoption under the consent agenda piece, and then later you'll see in the motion section we have an agreement with, it's a routine template that we use to just work out the process of how we'll get kiddos who are in foster care to either their school of origin, where they were originally living, or to the school district or the school of where they're residing now. So, in some cases, we may cover the cost of transportation. So other than that, that's it. It's good to see everyone.
Thanks, Claire.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to new business.
I'll make a motion to approve contract between the County of York on behalf of the Sheriff's Office and Axon Enterprises, Scottsdale, Arizona, to provide additional user licenses for a total cost of $34,966.40 for the period of January 1st, 2024 to January 1st, 2027.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I make a motion to approve a purchase between the County of York on behalf of the Public Works Department and 10-8 Emergency Vehicle Services, New Holland, Pennsylvania, to upfit vehicle number 56 to be used as a K-9 unit for a total cost of $16,235 under a PA CoStarz contract.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I make a motion to approve a grant agreement between the County of York on behalf of the District Attorney's Office and the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, in the amount of $155,117 to sustain and expand violence prevention efforts consistent with Project Safe Neighborhood initiatives through employment of a specialized prosecutor, sustainment of a GVI credible messenger, procurement of a consultant services for data collection and analysis, and support of related activities and deliverables for the period of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024.
Second.
A motion and a second. For those of you that don't know what GVI stands for, that's a group violence initiative. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I make a motion to approve a bid award between the County of York on behalf of the York County Prison and Rutter's Dairy, York, Pennsylvania, the lowest responsible bidder for dairy products for the prison for a total amount of $5,737.65. That's an estimated weekly rate for the period of July 1st, 2023 to July 31st, 2024.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Just to note, these were approved by the prison board. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I make a motion to approve a bid award between the County of York on behalf of the York County Prison and Bimbo Bakeries, McDonough, Georgia, the lowest responsible bidder for baked goods for the prison for a total amount of $3,706.70. That's the estimated weekly rate for the period of August 1st, 2023 to July 31st, 2024.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? As with the previous motion, this was approved by the prison board. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I make a motion to approve Gregory Monsky, Chief Clerk for the County of York, be authorized and directed to sign on behalf of the Board of Commissioners all agreements for the Office of Traffic Safety entered into with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's Department of Transportation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to ratify a contract between the County of York on behalf of the Facilities Management Department and Freepoint Energy Solutions LLC, Houston, Texas, for the purchase of electricity for the county's 63 small electricity accounts for calendar year 2024 at a rate of .07407 cents per kilowatt hour.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve a purchase by the County of York on behalf of the Department of Emergency Services 911 from H.B. McClure of Harrisburg, PA for replacement air conditioning units and installation at the West Manheim Public Safety Radio Tower Site shed via PA CoStar's contract for the cost of $12,506.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve agreements between the County of York on behalf of the York County Office of Children, Youth, and Families and the following school districts to establish the allocations between the county and the district for transportation costs related to educational stability for children in foster care per the Every Student Succeeds Act for the period of July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024, as listed below.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion on behalf of the Community Development and Department of York County Planning Commission authorizing and directing the commissioners to execute the following subrecipient agreements and amendments thereto for grants included in the adopted 2022 program year. 2022 grant agreement between York County and the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and there is listed below.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve change order G001 with East Coast Contracting, Cumberland, Pennsylvania, for the central booking project in the amount of $1,524.68. This change order is to include ceiling demolition in the day room and kitchen.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. I know John's here. Is anything additional you want to add?
No, but at least the project now has started. We found some additional demolition that had to occur in the day room to get utilities above it, so it's fairly minor. We negotiated with the contractor, so this is a very reasonable price, and we have no problem recommending it.
Thanks, John. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve the weekly disbursements for the week of July 6, 2023, totaling $12,007,353.33.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve the weekly disbursements for the week of August 2nd, 2023, totaling $4,353,802.15.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There were no executive sessions since our last meeting. And I think Mr. Wade is going to give us an update on the Open Space Land Preservation Program. And are there slides for you, Wade? Okay. It's all yours.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. Good morning. Just want to take a few minutes to give a quick overview of the York County Open Space and Land Preservation Program, and specifically announce the grant program that is currently open through September 30th. The program was set up in 2020. This is the fourth year. The goal is to preserve and protect at least 2,500 acres of open space each year. This is accomplished through several different agencies, the good work that the County Ag Pres program does, the Farm and Natural Lands Trust, York County Parks, but then also with some of the community organizations through the grant program that allows them to leverage funding from the state and other agencies. Starting last year, we combined the Marcellus Shale Legacy Impact Funds that the county receives into this program. So the funding from both programs can be used to acquire open space and natural lands, update local ordinances that help protect open space, and then also do park improvements, trail rehabilitation, preserve natural habitats, and protect our waterways. So specifically, the grant application opened up July 1st. It closes September 30th. On the left-hand side, the open space funding. The eligible applicants include all York County municipalities, all 72 municipalities, York County Parks Department, and then nonprofits that have a mission for land protection, parks, recreation, or conservation. Eligible projects for that include acquisition of parkland or natural lands, or planning activities related to open space protection. There is a 50% required match that they can use. We work very closely with DCNR and their grant program to help leverage funds. The award caps for the different types of projects: land acquisition is $150,000 annual cap with a $300,000 lifetime cap, and a planning project is $25,000 per municipality. So if you have a multi-municipal plan, you can get up to $50,000, or however many municipalities there are. For the Marcellus Shale Legacy funding, that's open to any York County municipality, nonprofits in York County, departments, related agencies, or school districts within the county. Eligible projects include acquisition, planning, development, rehabilitation, and repair of greenways, recreational facilities, community conservation, community and heritage parks, and water management. So that's very flexible for that funding. There is no match requirements. There is preference given to those agencies that do have match funding, but there is no match required. And the award caps for that is $40,000 annually and $60,000 lifetime cap. As I said, the grant round is open until September 30th. Just to recap some of the accomplishments from the previous 3 years of grant rounds. Land acquisitions, this funding went towards 6 properties covering over 1,000 acres within York County. We've had 7 planning projects covering 11 municipalities, and some examples include comprehensive plans, zoning updates, park master plans, feasibility studies for water access. And then we've had 11 Marcellus Shale projects funded last year. They include park improvements, stormwater, historic site rehab, and ADA compliance for recreational facilities. You can take a look at the map there, and it might be hard to see the crosshatch on a lot of those townships, but the blue, red, and green dots show the different land acquisitions, planning projects, and Marcellus Shale projects. And the crosshatch shows where the conservation easements were put in place through the County Ag Pres program and the Farm and Natural Lands Trust. So we were able to spread that funding all over the county. For those looking to apply for the grant, you can go to yorkopenspace.org. If you scroll down, you'll see the grant section in gold. If you click apply for the grant button, that'll come to us, and we'll send you an application to apply for those funds. Up at the top, there's also the different annual reports from 2020, 2021, and last year that outlines how those funds have been used. So again, thank you to the commissioners for their dedication to the open space protection. The grants have been a great success throughout the county, allowing those municipalities and nonprofits to leverage other funding to put things on the ground. Are there any questions?
Just if anyone needs assistance, they can reach out to the Planning Commission for help.
Yep, call the Planning Commission, or you can email yorkopenspace@ycpc.org. Our phone number is 717-771-9870, or our website's ycpc.org.
Great.
Wade, two things just to confirm for the public. And, as far as the application process, is it one application for both grants?
Yep, one application. Once they open up the application, they'll select what type of
Right.
project they're doing.
And I know Marcellus Shale, we get a funding from the state. Every year we get a check that comes in. We don't know what that's going to be. I know it's been $300,000-$400,000 a year. You might want to tell people how much money is actually available usually each year of the open space for grants to give away.
For the grant giveaway, for the Marcellus Shale, I know it differs. This
Right.
year, I think we have $510,000 that we got from the state.
Right.
The open space grant,
It's funded with a tenth of a mil, which was passed back in 2019.
yeah, and I want to say $450,000 for the open space.
Okay. I know we have some going to different organizations and, provide that funding, but
Yeah,
it's
for the
important to know
grant
how much
program, I
money.
believe it's around $450,000.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anything else for Wade? Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, open up for any public comment? So if you could just state your name, municipality, and 3 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Darla Byerly, Warrington Township. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here today to address the July newsletter that Commissioner President Julie Wheeler sent out this week. As I see, you've all unanimously approved a statement of work for building out the wireless infrastructure in York City, including North York Borough and West York and Hanover Borough. Since you've all signed on and approved, I think it's urgent to bring to your attention the fact that 5G and all Gs are not the fastest internet that we've all been mass marketed to believe. 5G is radiation, and radiation is harmful to all biology, including humans, animals and migrating birds, insects, including our pollinators, and the environment. Radiation, as acknowledged by AT&T, Verizon, and all the telecom companies, is actually pollution. There is no safe level of radiation from wireless systems for people and the rest of nature. There are tens of thousands of studies that establish adverse biological effects resulting from exposure to radiofrequency microwave radiation. Neurological problems affecting the brain are typically the first negative health effects that people experience from exposure to radiofrequency microwave radiation. Neurological effects including cognitive impairments, seizure, migraine, vertigo, sleep impairment, tinnitus, depression, ADHD, and violence are common. This is because most Wi-Fi operates on a frequency of approximately 2.4 to 2.5 gigahertz, which is the same frequency as the microwave oven and has an approximate wavelength of 5 inches. This is significant because 5 inches approximates the size of the human head and brain. This is significant because 5 inches approximates the size of the human head and brain, so the brain gets maximum absorption of the radiation. Other negative health effects include cardiac effects, such as cardiac arrest and high blood pressure, reproductive effects like miscarriage and infertility, also diabetes, cellular disorders, and cancer. In August of 2021, the Environmental Health Trust won their case against the FCC and filed over 11,000 pages of evidence of harm from radiofrequency microwave radiation, which the FCC ignored, including evidence of extant widespread illness from radiation from wireless infrastructures and devices. To this date, the FCC is out of compliance with the court order to substantiate their guidelines as safe, particularly for children in the context of the ubiquitous nature of the wireless world in which we live. Here's a picture of the 11,000 pages of evidence that were filed. Rather than print them myself, I thought it would be more prudent to email you a copy of the 11,000 pages of evidence for your review and records. So by signing on to this rollout, you are consenting to bringing biological harm in the form of radiofrequency microwave radiation to the people you've sworn an oath to protect. Radio frequency microwave radiation exposes us to surveillance and hacking, which is an invasion of privacy and a violation of Article 1, Section 8 of the Pennsylvania Constitution and the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. You are rolling out the same infrastructure that the Chinese Communist Party uses to control their people through a social credit system and keep them enslaved in a digital prison. Thank you.
Hello, Laura Basso, Fairview Township. The 2021 Pennsylvania Bluetooth contract tracing data breach, where 72,000 Pennsylvanians had their personal data stolen, is a clear example of how the wireless grid is purposed for unwarranted surveillance and is vulnerable to hacking in violation of the U.S. and Pennsylvania Constitution. To understand humanity's current situation, it's essential to recognize the architects of the digital prison system. The International Telecommunications Union, the ITU, is a United Nations agency, a body of unelected foreign entities consisting of 193 member states, 900 companies, universities, and NGOs. The ITU is deploying a global wireless network infrastructure with the goal of constant surveillance and control, modeled after the Chinese social credit system. It is designed to keep people in a CCP-style digital prison. China is a top contributor to the ITU, taking a lead in the international deployment of this system. For over 30 years, AT&T has been actively collaborating with China, the world's leader in human rights abuses and environmental pollution. The AT&T 5G policy primer states that their goals are to follow global standards. That's the ITU and China, driven by private sectors, and aggressively remove local barriers to deployment. We, the people, and our local governments are the barriers that they want to remove. It is a clear example of how public-private partnerships with for-profit industry do not benefit the people and only benefits corporate greed. By following global policy set by unelected foreign entities, industry is seeking to sidestep local governance, public safety, environmental protection, and local and national sovereignty. As the great Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia once said, the enshrinement of constitutional rights essentially takes certain policy choices off the table. This means that constitutions are absolutely applicable to policy choices. And since wireless is always harmful, slow, unreliable, hackable, and ineffective, and worse, no policy choice can be made for wireless infrastructure except where outdoor mobile phone usage is less than 2 bars, constituting true need. York County deserves and demands better. Fiber optics to the premises is the most secure and safest way to deliver internet, which has already been paid for since the 1990s through our phone bills due to telecom cross-subsidization fraud we never received. It's time to deliver. Thank you.
Sarah Thompson, Windsor Township. I'm a registered nurse and a mother, and most importantly, a God-fearing Christian. I stand for medical freedom, body autonomy, and informed consent, 3 things that were denied when we're involuntarily exposed to wireless 5G microwave radiation, a deployment entirely unnecessary for internet conductivity. My 14-year-old son, Jaden, is one of 50,000 people in the U.S. with a rare form of epilepsy known as Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, LGS. LGS is a formal name meaning intractable progressive epilepsy. It means medication doesn't work on his seizures. And as time goes by, his body will decay under the stress of epilepsy. It's idiopathic in nature, and there's many triggers, including microenvironmental sources. It is not genetic. He has 14 different types of seizures, one that even causes him to lose his eyesight temporarily. His brain is characterized by his neurology team from Hopkins as a piece of Swiss cheese on a Lazy Susan. It's really like having a pediatric Alzheimer's patient. Jaden's uncontrolled seizures started in 2016 after our analog electric meter, unbeknownst to us, was quietly replaced with the so-called smart meter directly under his bedroom. And yes, we have switched his bedroom around. He was 7 years old at the time. He's now 14, but still functions his brain still functions at the age of a 7-year-old. In 2019, he was formally diagnosed with the neurological impacted LGS, medically induced autism, ADHD, anxiety, depression, as well as cognitive disabilities. I've come to learn that so-called smart meters emit massive amounts of biological harmful radio frequency microwave radiation, which is harmful to the brain and causes neurological effects, including seizures. According to the testimony submitted to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court Middle District in 2021 from Eric S. Anderson, a forensic electrical engineer, smart and digital meters cause a significant amount of radio frequency noise on homes' electrical wiring system, thereby transforming them to a whole house antenna. Recently, while caring for Jaden during an epileptic seizure event that lasted over an hour, I learned that supposedly the inactive 911 tower adjacent to our property is now poised to have a 5G antenna added. This tower is literally in our backyard, and given the landscape, the antenna will beam radiation directly into Jaden's bedroom. I'm at a complete loss of how to protect my son. I have no safe space for him. Our home, the backyard, the hospital, everywhere we go is bombarded. So fiber optics to the premises is your safest bet. There's two ways, either underground or an aerial utility poles. It is the only form of internet to be provided for all of York County, whether urban or rural. There must be a massive campaign to educate York counties that 5G is radiation.
Stephen Carr, Manon Township. Just on the notice on the York County Board Registers and Voters election site that the York County's turnout for voting in the municipal primary was 18.50%. That is abysmal. We should have been at least in the 50% or 40%. We also had 13,000 mail-in ballots. When I looked at Adams County, they had 4,000. Or received 4,000, and their turnout rate was a quarter of ours with 22.77. We should be at least doing better to inform the public of municipal primaries and the importance of them, because in 2016, the presidential primary put President Trump on the map on the ballot and got him in the spot along with a few other counties and states. And he's also up for the 2024 election, as well as many others, but that's besides the point. The point is that we need better voter turnout, and we need somehow either the GOP or the county elections office needs to inform the public just how important these elections are, because especially since the next election is involving our children and our children's children, our grandchildren in schools. People like my friend and buddy over there, Matt Smith, who's running for school board, needs the voter support and the GOP support behind them. And so we definitely need to find a strategy to get it out.
Anyone else?
Matt Smith, Manhunt Township. That's a lot to unpack today, but it was a good meeting. I like hearing about conservation. I live in the middle of a state park, so it's so we like conservation and wildlife and all this stuff. That's a lot to unpack today. It was a good meeting, though, very informative. And as an electrician, I can tell you, I can second what they said on electromagnetic interference and other wavelengths and things like that, if you ever look at a scope and see the wavelengths and how things work. So I can second what they said on that. From a scientific standpoint, probably should look into that. So some of the things they said I didn't think about before, but I always come here trying to get people to pay attention more. So if we look at YouTube and see how many views are on there, it would be nice if people would just not be grumpy all the time and come here and ask questions, right? Because people get mad at what they don't understand. And hopefully more people can watch these meetings. And also what Claire said earlier about the adoption assistance and things like that. that ties into a lot of other things when we're talking about mental health and our social workers and everything else. Everybody can go to adoptpakids.org, click on Become a Foster Parent. There's info on there as far as resources and things. And also, when it comes to that subject, if you go to the county website and click on job listings, there is Tier 1 and Tier 2 social workers, caseworkers, that the county's hiring for right now. There's a lot of positions on there in the whole county. So if more people would watch these meetings, they would get a lot of info in a short period of time. So that's all I got. Thanks.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Okay. If I could have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned, and we will move on to Salary Board.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the July 19, 2023 Salary Board meeting as submitted.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Open up for any public comment. Can move on to item number 4.
Make a motion to approve the positions, salaries, hours of work, and fringe benefits as provided by existing collective bargaining agreements or as set forth in the York County Employee Handbook or York County Policy Manual for the following departments and row offices as stated below, with no additional benefits or concessions unless otherwise noted, and there is listed in the agenda.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. An executive session of the Salary Board was held on July 24th, 2023, for the purpose of discussing general personnel matters to include discussions on salary modifications, job description reviews, and reclassification reviews related to voter registration and elections, Veteran Affairs, and Solicitor's Office. The Salary Board discussed and received information and advice regarding such matters. The Salary Board did not adopt any policy or procedure or take any formal action on such matters. Any items upon which action has been requested would be included as a motion on the agenda. So I can have a motion to adjourn? Oh, wait, sorry. Any more? Open up again for public comment. And if I could have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thanks, everyone, and enjoy the beautiful day in August.